Push it by the time you said
Oh yeah, it started. Hello everybody. Today we're here at Carlisle and we're going to install one of our new heat kits on Ryan's T8. So we've got some instructions here we're going to follow that I actually already have written. Normally we would start with uninstalling the heat cover, but Ryan has already removed that. So we're going to start with the rest of it. I'm going to take both of these sides of this hoses loose to make it easier, because we're going to raise this bracket. And we need this hose out of the way because there is a clamp right here that's turned and you have to turn that. Obviously, this car has not been apart in a while.
It's been a while since the has been on.
So, do that. Then we just take and we can rotate this. And there it pops off. Hey, we want to be careful. We don't want to drop anything right here. A lot of times I'll put a rag right here. But we just used our rag to clean a dirty spot. So we're going to pretend that's already been done. Pop this loose. There's a little pin here. We'll do that in a second, actually. Take this loose first. I'm using a long extension here today because I don't want to drop anything into the grass. Now there's two nuts on this bracket. We have to take this bracket off because on cars with a heat cover, it will interfere with the module. Carefully place that there.
The real one, not the Does it say something about the fact that my car was parked next to the
So we're just going to kind of lift this up and move this out of the way a little
Does it
bit.
say something that my car's next to the
Take my pocket screwdriver. Just want to push down on this. Pull slightly. These are always stiff, so you got to be careful with them.
Find out the easiest example car you could have got.
Yeah, no, that's fine, man. We got to start somewhere. Okay. Now that doesn't mean it's all the way ready. To get it completely pulled, you see that move just that extra little bit, and it pops right off. I'm going to just tuck this right here for the moment. Do the same thing again. You'll see that one released a little bit easier. You still want to be careful here because you don't want to mess up your connectors. And there we go. You can also take a screwdriver and press down here. It looks like this one moved better. See that last little bit? And off she pops. Again, we'll just lay this right here. Now what we're attempting to get to are these 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And pay attention, we also have a ground at this point. You would think with the engine module bolted to the engine, we wouldn't need an additional ground, but
that ground is very important.
That ground is very important.
Car will not start without that ground.
Careful, we're removing those 4 bolts. We're going to reuse one of the 4. Obviously I have a full set of directions here, but since I've done this a few times, I'm not having to refer to them every other page. But here's where we're going to talk about it. Right here's the difference between the 2 year models. On a page, on 03 to 06, we only need 1 nut. So we have to lift this up, and we're going to add a nut to both of these studs for 03 to 06. For 03, from 07 to 11, we're going to put 2 nuts on this stud because we need to pull it up that much more for those year models. So since this is the 03 through 11, excuse me. Grab an extra kit. And since this is a what year model?
2008.
2008. That means we need 4 of these pieces out of this kit. So we'll go in here, we'll pull out 4 nuts. You have to be careful when you go through the kit. We actually have 4 nuts, and you'll notice a lot nut. And we'll get to that one in a moment. We'll install these one at a time and torque each. And unfortunately, I forgot to bring my torque wrench today, but it's my first rodeo.
I trust your fingers. You know.
Uh-oh, T8 time, huh?
We're installing ECU spacers.
Oh.
Heat insulators. Curtis Keep Jet.
Good. And that is 16 foot-pounds. Trust me.
I heard the click.
So, not a gorilla.
Not a gorilla. Not one Ugga-Dugga. It's a short Ugga-Dugga. Basically 16 foot-pounds is snow. And that's our first nut. We're going to go in and put our second round. Thank you. Each one gets 2. And it's a difference in the early models and later models have different size studs right here. And that's why that the later models get 2, the early models just get 1. You wouldn't think that it would be something as small a difference as a stud length, but it does make a difference. So all we're doing basically is just locking those onto each other.
Somebody else bought it for set today?
I'm trying to tell it.
It's in the carburetor.
Yeah. Okay, so now
I tell people that
we're going to go here. Now when we go back, in this particular kit, I've chose to only use 3 of the 4 mounting points. So what we're going to use these top left and the 2 bottom. This now becomes our new ground, and we'll show you how we're going to use that first. So we'll go to our kit, we'll pull out the supplied ground wire and the supplied nut, supplied bolt, because there is a bolt for this, because you cannot use the standard bolt, it'll be too long. Otherwise we could just reuse one of the ones we had just taken off. So we're going to take this, and we're going to take the existing ground, and we're going to put this bolt here, and we're going to attach it there. Again, 16 foot-pounds. This is now our new ground that we will add back to the module. Take place of this ground, which is very important. We've already discussed that.
The all-important ground strap.
Now we're going to take our 3 supplied isolators, and these pretty much we just hand install. See our 3 isolators. In this position, these are already threaded correctly. So I just go in, snug.
Big hill climb wing.
No, that's okay.
You got it?
Yep. Hold my mouth just right. There we go. And we snug this up. Now we're almost done. Now we're going to take one of our existing nuts. Excuse me, one of our existing bolts. And we're going to grab our ECM back that we put right here. Now, our proper orientation would have been right like this. As you see, here's the hole we would not have used before. And you can see how we have the 2 and then the 2. So we're going to put the ground wire now here. And this is where the lock nut comes in. And the early models, I've also included a star washer for extra gripping power, just to make sure that this ground wire does not come loose. Next, we're going to put that on the bottom. So here's what we're going to have. We're going to have a lock washer and a lock nut. Wrench. This extension for the moment. 10 and 10. All the tools and instructions are included. Tighten this again. 16 foot-pounds. Now there's our ground wire, secured with lock nut, and as you can see, I've done it on the top side of the vacuum hose. So it's easier to take this back loose, trust me. Here we go. Torques. 2 foot-pounds. Now we layer back into place. Rack it up slightly. Now the trick is to mount all 3 bolts loose before we tighten them. So we reused all of our bolts.
No one's going to be there to do that for you. Kay's going to do that for you.
Like I said, the key is to start all 3 bolts before. There is a slight misalignment. We'll take that into account. Now we're going to torque these back down. Now these will pull into the rubber somewhat, so you'll feel a little resistance start. Excuse me, wrong one. Dummy. So take your time and move around it. So it's slowly pulling down, and you'll feel it draw flush. And again, with 16 foot-pounds. Okay, now this is the point where we want to check our clearance between the bracket, and that's why we installed the nuts. So we'll set the bracket back and look, and sure enough, we've got about 2-3 millimeters, which is perfect. Then we'll take our existing nuts back that we used earlier, place those back. Again, 16 foot-pounds. Check our clearance again. Good clearance. Make sure everything else looks good. Okay, so now we're going to connect our ECU back up. Got our left and our right connector. Push down, slowly push and rotate at the same time until you hear that snap. Repeat. The other side. Make sure it's all fully open before you try to reinsert it, because that will definitely cause a problem. It should slide down smoothly. Right like that. Okay, so now we've got the nuts. We're good on the module. We've got the new ground attached. We've got our clearance. Everything's hooked back up. Have an extra hose here. Now we're going to reattach our hose from the intercooler over to the throttle body. Right, and at this point, we would reinstall the upper cover. It snaps in here, and you've got 2 screws, actually 3 screws that go right here, not covered in here, and that's it. So at this point, let's just crank it up, make sure we're good to go. And we've measured 50-degree reduction in temperature with this particular modification. And that's all there is to it.
Who are you? What's the professional title?
My name is Jeff Gornflow, and I'm the head of technical resources for SAAB Cars USA.
Well, I appreciate
Orio, North
it,
America.
Jeff. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
That was awesome.
We appreciate it. We're glad that we can do it for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry that the car was so dirty.
Oh, no, actually that was a perfect resource.
It makes it realistic, right?
It does. It's more realistic because you know it's an actual car. Huh?
Where's my set? So I can
Yeah, where do you get them?
Available soon at Orio. We'll have them. It's actually when you punch in a T8 now, it's at the bottom right below it.